Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the inspiring leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the youthful and revolutionary president of Burkina Faso. Traoré's got the beret and he's serious about change. Since taking power in 2022, he's made bold decisions that challenge the status quo. He represents a growing call for self-determination and African pride. This isn't just about Burkina Faso, it's about a ripple effect. A new kind of energy. Let's get into it. All right, first up on our list, prioritizing national sovereignty over foreign influence. Now, national sovereignty, it sounds like something you'd hear in a very serious university lecture, right? But in simple terms, it's about being the boss of your own house. And Captain Traoré basically looked around Burkina Faso and said, you know what, it's time we change the locks, and decided who gets a key. He made it crystal clear that Burkina Faso would no longer be taking notes or orders from former colonial powers or any foreign military interests. When Traoré demanded the withdrawal of French troops from Burkinabe soil, it wasn't just a policy change, it was a statement. This move sent ripples, not just tiny little pond ripples, but big wave machine in a Hollywood movie kind of ripples. Many Africans across the continent and in the diaspora looked at this and thought, finally, someone gets it. It signaled a decisive shift toward true national sovereignty. This wasn't about being anti-anyone, it was about being pro-Burkina Faso. Think about the courage that takes. You're a young leader in a country facing immense challenges, and you're telling a global power we need some space. It's about drawing a line in the sand, a very clear line that says, our future will be determined by us, for us. Corruption hits developing nations particularly hard. It's like termites in a house. Eventually, the whole thing wobbles. President Traoré declared war on corruption. He launched a major crackdown within government and security forces. This sends a message. Nobody's above the law. It suggests that maybe things can be different. All right, let's talk about bling. Not just any bling, but mineral wealth. Burkina Faso is rich in gold, but citizens saw little benefit. Enter President Traoré with a new plan, reviewing contracts with foreign companies, nationalizing some mining operations, ensuring wealth builds schools, hospitals, and roads. The nation becomes the primary beneficiary. Chapter 4, Stronger Together, Forging Pan-African Alliances. President Traoré has actively worked to strengthen Pan-African alliances, most notably by aligning Burkina Faso with neighboring Mali and Niger to form the Alliance of Sahel States, or AES. This isn't just a friendly handshake and a group photo, it's a strategic coalition focused on some pretty hefty goals: regional security, economic independence, and mutual support. Think about the Sahel region. It's been facing enormous challenges: terrorism, instability, the effects of climate change. For a long time, the approach often involved looking outwards for help, relying on Western powers or international institutions. But the AES represents a different philosophy: African solutions for African problems. This move promotes African unity over dependency on those Western institutions that, let's be honest, haven't always had Africa's best interests at heart. By forming regional blocs like the AES, these countries are aiming to build collective strength, to negotiate with the world on their own terms, and to tackle shared challenges with shared resources and strategies. It's a powerful statement of self-reliance. This isn't just about military cooperation, though that's a big part of it given the security situation. It's also about economic independence. Imagine these countries trading more with each other, investing in each other, creating regional infrastructure projects that benefit all members. Chapter 5, Thanks but no thanks, drawing lines with Western NGOs. President Traoré took a bold and, yes, controversial step by expelling some Western non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, from Burkina Faso. The accusation that some of these NGOs were meddling in local politics or spreading foreign ideologies that weren't necessarily aligned with the country's interests or values. For years, NGOs have been a huge presence in many African countries, doing a lot of work in areas like humanitarian aid, development, and human rights. And look, many of them do genuinely good life-saving work. But there's also been a long simmering debate about the role and influence of some Western NGOs. Traoré's administration seems to be saying, we appreciate the help, but we need to be sure that help isn't coming with hidden strings, or a side order of neo-colonialism. The idea is to encourage and support community-based organizations, local initiatives, and solutions that come from within Burkina Faso itself. This decision has definitely sparked debate, with some praising it as a necessary step towards decolonizing aid and development, and others criticizing it as potentially harmful to vulnerable populations or a sign of shrinking civic space. Chapter 6: Beyond the Capital. Focusing on rural development and security, President Traoré's government is trying to flip the script of focusing development primarily in Ouagadougou, the capital. Instead, they've made a point of prioritizing rural communities. These rural areas, particularly in the border regions, have borne the brunt of extremist violence. For a long time, many of these communities felt neglected, forgotten by the central government. Traoré's administration seems to understand that you can't secure a nation if you don't secure its most vulnerable parts, so they've been deploying resources and, crucially, security support to try and protect civilians in these often overlooked areas. This focus on rural development is also about addressing the root causes of instability. By investing in rural infrastructure, agriculture, education, and healthcare, the government is not just improving lives, it's also building resilience. Improved security allows for development projects to take root, and successful development projects can help to stabilize the security situation by giving communities more to protect and less reason to be swayed by extremist groups. It's about ensuring that all citizens, regardless of where they live, feel like they are part of the national project and that their government is working for them. Chapter 7. The youth shall lead, empowering Africa's youngest generation. Africa is the world's youngest continent. Africa's youngest president, Captain Traoré, connects with the youth. He involves young people in national development and security roles. It's about giving them actual responsibility, a real stake in the present, tools for learning, earning, and building a better society. Seeing a leader who speaks their language is incredibly inspiring. All right, let's talk about image. In the world of politics, image can be everything. You see some leaders and it's all about the fancy suits, the motorcades longer than a supermarket aisle, the palaces that could house a small town. Then you have Captain Traoré. He's often seen, almost exclusively, wearing simple military fatigues, and he's frequently photographed mingling with ordinary citizens, not just in staged photo ops, but in what appear to be genuine interactions. This down-to-earth leadership style is a stark contrast to the opulence and detachment often associated with many African presidents, and leaders worldwide for that matter. It sends a very strong, very clear message about servant leadership. It's like saying, I am one of you. I am here to work for you, not to lord it over you. In a continent where the gap between the rulers and the ruled can often feel like a chasm, this kind of simplicity and accessibility can be incredibly powerful. It can help to build a connection, a sense of trust that no amount of grandstanding can achieve. It's a visual representation of the idea that leadership is a responsibility, not a privilege to be exploited for personal gain. Let's talk about the money you take. President Traoré criticizes debt traps set by the IMF and World Bank. These institutions offer loans with heavy strings attached. Conditions include austerity measures and privatization. Many countries end up in a cycle of debt. Traoré encourages finding money within the country, improve tax collection, cut wasteful spending, and fight corruption. African countries can support each other and create a self-reliant economic bloc. Finally, let's talk about something that goes deeper than policy or economics. Let's talk about identity, about culture, about pride. President Traoré has placed a strong emphasis on the importance of embracing indigenous culture, languages, and identity. This isn't just about colorful festivals or traditional music, though those are wonderful. It's about something much more fundamental. Decolonizing the mind, as some would say. It's about reclaiming and celebrating who you are on your own terms. For generations, colonial education systems and Western cultural dominance often taught Africans that their own cultures, languages, and traditions were somehow inferior. Traoré's message is a powerful counter-narrative. His speeches often call for decolonizing education, which means re-evaluating curricula to include more African history, African knowledge systems, and African perspectives. He also champions the use of local languages. Promoting local languages is about validating people's lived experiences and ensuring that their voices can be heard authentically in the language of their hearts and homes. By encouraging Burkinabe citizens to embrace their roots, Traoré is helping to cultivate a sense of ownership over their national destiny, a destiny that is proudly and unapologetically African. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's leadership has reignited hope for a self-reliant Africa. It's like someone finally turned the lights on. His courage to challenge the global system is a symbol of Pan-African revival. Is it all smooth sailing? Of course not. Politics is messy, change is hard, his bold moves offer lessons in sovereignty and people-first governance. Those questions resonate beyond Burkina Faso. Leadership is about transforming lives. Thanks for watching, share.